Well, Senator Ned Nwoko, representing Delta North, has resigned from the People's Democratic Party. In a resignation letter addressed to the party leadership in Anyocha North local government area, the senator expressed dissatisfaction with the current state of the party, citing deep divisions and irreconcilable factions as the primary reasons for his departure. Nwoko has been in the PDP since it was established in 1999. Well, let's bring in the Raj News analyst, Dr. Sam Amadi, for more on this developing story in Nigeria's major opposition political party, PDP. Great to see you, Dr. Amadi.
Thank you.
Well, I mean, when you hear the outcomes of the meeting in Asaba Delta State today, first, let's start with the controversial position of the National Secretary, where you've had two individuals laying claims to that party. Today, the governors who are a part of NEC, which is a major decision organ of the party, are saying they're throwing their weight behind Ude-Okoye. They're saying that the National Working Committee should recognize him as the National Secretary. Does this put an end to the controversy over that position, the National Secretary?
Well, not necessarily. First, I think we have to say that they look very colorful today.
In the outfits.
The outfit from Delta is great. Okay, but then the MWC, I mean, the Governors Forum clearly have a finger. They know where they are trending to. Basically, I think they're against the Samuel Anyanwu senator, who is supposedly the weakest faction of the party. And so clearly they're going to trend towards supporting the other contender, again, because the Court of Appeal, now this is the problem, there's a Court of Appeal decision, even though Senator Anyanwu pointed to a Court of Appeal order that's stay in action or whatever, but it's not as substantive as a judgment. Again, I don't think any Court of Appeal would suspend a Court of Appeal decision. The only way to suspend the judgment will be an appeal in the Court of Appeal, instead of execution in the Court of Appeal or Supreme Court if they refuse. So it gives the case that order from the Court of Appeal in Enugu has more weight than we also think is a fiction or kind of, okay. That's one. But then it doesn't solve the problem. This is the legality. The political game now is that, like I already pointed out, the Governors Forum is a powerful part of the NWC and NEC itself. Yeah. But then the scheduling, first, they're saying the match, this meeting has been postponed endlessly, okay? Yes. So they are giving a final, they say, match, okay? The chairman and secretary, whoever is acting now, have to convene that meeting. So the first...
In the person of Damagum
himself. So the first curveball could be that March will not arrive, okay? May never come. They could kick the can down the road. That's the first. The second is that depending on the composition of the NEC, then the governors supposed to be, in ordinary terms, the governors are the main factors because they have both the financing to help the party. But these are not ordinary terms in PDP. So you might see the NWC or a faction of it, okay, holding back and not implement. So we're going to see decisively whether the governors and those who are supporting the governor's cause will be able to force down a reaction in the sense that Samuel Anyanwu vacates for who the Southeast Caucus at some point have ordained. Now, the way to end is, it seems to me that's a chaotic button that they're pressing. Either of the faction, one of them perhaps doesn't need a resolution in a peaceful way.
Because when you look at it, I mean, even the constitution of the PDP, section 31, subsection 4, does say that the NEC meeting must occur at least once every 3 months. Now, the last time the PDP has held any NEC was in April of 2024. They've had 2 postponements in last year, and now they fix it to February, only for the governors today to advise the NEC to say, the NWC rather, to say, let's do it March. Yeah. So they've kicked it further down the road, like you said. Do you get the sense that the opposition party has the sense of urgency of what it should be doing as an opposition party when they cannot get their acts right and even convene a National Executive Council meeting?
Well, the problem is that the opposition party in Nigeria has not been an opposition party in the sense of opposing government. So what that means is that after every election, the governors, everybody gets into election mode again for the next election. And so decisions are now determined by the logic of the next election. So some of the governors will be surprised may be shifting again. You don't know what place. Before 27, they may leave opposition and become a ruling party. And so that dynamics, that we are endlessly in electoral mode and we're never in a governance and opposition mode, means that there's no logic to the one aspect of the opposition party: strength, organize themselves, have a platform, and recreate a party to win the next election is missing. But this is even more extraordinary this time, that the leader, if you like, or one of the leaders of this party, Mr. Nwoko, who has done a lot for this party, is himself saying, I'm in the party, but I'm going to fight for the APC presidency victory in 2027. So the question then is, the parties exist at the national level to win presidential elections. So if you can say two-thirds instead of strength of that party is Governor Nwoko, former Minister Nwoko now. If he says, look, my mission is to make sure PDP loses 2027 election, logically, it's difficult to imagine him working to stabilize the party. Because if party is stable, then he has a chance to defeat the president. And he says, my mission, there's nothing wrong about opposition party working for a ruling party. It could be some kind of national interest. But when you now say they won, that your mission is to make sure that their principal defeats their party, then the question is that party, you can never be working logically for that party. So we are now in a position where, apart from the normal Nigerian crisis of opposition parties, never been opposition. Look at Labour Party, look at all the parties. But this is extraordinary, that this party's confusion and chaos is strategic. And seems to be
it looks like a fight for the soul of the structure of the party and nothing
more.
Because
of the 27 election.
Because of that. But there are those who say, who will say it's one thing to talk is cheap. There are those who feel that Minister Nwoko can say whatever he has to say, but he doesn't have the weight to pull it off because of the local politics happening in Rivers State, his state.
Absolutely.
But let's move on now. Some will credit the governors for some sort of resolution that has come out of Asaba today. Do you see it as a resolution closer to PDP finally having peace when one of the positions, such as the National Secretary, seems to have been resolved? We haven't heard from Mr. Anyanwu in the meantime, but if the governors are saying Ude-Okoye is the National Secretary of our party, does that, I asked you earlier, if it lays it to rest? But generally, do you think that the PDP is on the right path to ending this crisis?
I think nothing comes out of this that shows any finality or any intensification of coherence. So this is, I mean, with due respect, the declarations are watery, vague, nothing definitive, okay? All they're saying, okay, yes, we're going to have the NEC. Second, they're going to say, okay, we recognize this judgment, implement. So the key point is, if the NEC, because implementation is very simple, Samuel Anyanwu vacates the office, Ude-Okoye or whatever enters the office. That's a simple thing to do. So if in the next 1 or 2 weeks it's not done, then that means that resolution communique is not that powerful. That's not powerful. So the other things about the party attacking the government policy, it's not strong. I mean, the resolutions of the colorful event, what do they really come out with? You needed some concrete, some basic things apart from fixing a date and saying you do that. But then the big question here is that the governors forum themselves are trapped in politics themselves, okay? The chairman is a powerful position in that party, because in any party. And the secretary position now, which is being contested. So it's difficult for that governors forum, especially when the loyalty does not lie with the governors anymore. You see, oftentimes in the other parties before now, when Obasanjo was PDP, or you see that the president and the governors control their party all the way. But now we've seen a phenomenon where part of that party is being controlled by a person who is not a president, not even a governor, or who is arguably not fully in the party.
Strange times indeed.
So that's really the problem. So whether these elections will translate to action will depend on the internal politics within the executive, which is what the chairman does, and whether they can force down on the chairman and the NWC to implement as they have directed. We
have the likes of a Senator Nwoko, who is living in PDP. He's been a member of the PDP since inception in 1999. He's left today, resigning, citing the problems of the PDP. He does have the justification, doesn't he?
I think he has internal justification that is the former governor wants to take his position. I think that's what the politics is, local politics. Look, he wants to go back to the Senate. And the governor who has been in the Senate, has been governor for 8 years, seems to want to go back. And Ned, who has also been thinking to be governor, I think people think it's fair that he's not being treated fairly. He should be allowed to go back to the Senate. So there's no way he can go to the Senate if he can't get the PDP ticket. So I think this is a move to get himself back. Yes, there's crisis in PDP, but that's not the reason why he's doing this, because there's no space in PDP in Delta for him to aspire to contest and to be senator. The best space is to migrate to, and because the parties do look the same, that APC is in shambles, nobody's in control, PDP. So it's like in Animal Farm, they look like humans, they look like animal. So it's like PDP, look at APC. So why will you castigate Ned Nwoko for shifting? Because essentially, that's not different. It's a historical tale. Yesterday we launched the 100 years of political parties in Nigeria, and I did a book review. Yeah. And we said, look, from origin, the Nigerian political parties have become contraptions for either ethnic agenda, personal agenda, or some group of persons, desperate. So in 2015, they came together, removed PDP for no alternative ideology or policy. In 2027, maybe they'll come together, remove APC. So Ned Nwoko shifting from here to here is because he's looking at the local politics.
It's also self-preservation. Yeah.
Absolutely, he needs to be in the Senate, and he can't be in Senate for the flagship of the flag of PDP because the former governor wants to come back.
I think it was a Nigerian politician who said political parties are like vehicles that take it to the next.
But that's tragic because it means that we can't have development because the parties themselves are the engine of development because they have to mobilize ideas, mobilize people, and create long-term implementation. But
we can only hope for the best. Thank you so much, Dr. Sam Amadi, a Rice News analyst, for reviewing that story with us.